What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power lines that are just kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. Today, I'm joined with Brian Briscoe. How are you doing today, Brian?
Doing amazing. How you doing, Dan?
I'm not too bad. I'm finally getting over this cold. But you have your own podcast, you have your own
Mhm.
meetups, you have your own existing company with a few different investments. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Brian Briscoe. Wave tops, born and raised in the Salt Lake City area. For those on the video, hence the Utah hat. Um, 2001, when September 11th happened, I decided to go active duty in the Marine Corps. And now 20 years later, I basically just retired from the Marine Corps after a 20-year career. About 4 years ago, I jumped into multifamily. I had a handful of single family properties that I picked up over the years. We've moved every 2 to 3 years, and every time it was feasible, we purchased a property and turned it into an investment. So yeah, about 4 years ago, I decided to sell off my single family portfolio and jump into multifamily. Got into a coaching program, got a little bit of help, ended up meeting my current partners. We formed Four Oaks Capital. And as of right now, we've closed on 9 multifamily properties, a total of 630 units. And we operate in the Southeast. Right now, our 9 properties are all in South Carolina and Georgia, but we're also looking in the surrounding states as well. So that's in a nutshell where we're at right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And for you in the audience, the way that these chance encounters work is first I've narrowed down the motivations to get in your next commercial deal down to five, and we go through all five of them, and then we go through the six different main roles that you can contribute in a co-GP situation, and we ask the guest what their core competency is. So if I scoot over a little bit and bring up the screen, you'll see that we'll do the motivations first because we sometimes have some beginners on here and they know their motivation, but they don't really know the role that they're going to take. So the first role is some people are looking to preserve their purchasing power because they're concerned about the erosion due to inflation. So that's the first motivation. And that would mean that they have a substantial enough nest egg where it's not just, a nice to have, it's a necessity. So
Yeah.
that's the first one. The second one is the one that applies most to me, which is as a high earner from tech, I know I could fetch my high salary, but then I had to pay income tax on that before I can invest it into the form of wealth or into these buildings. So that's what I'm up to with
Mhm.
my marketing skills and whatnot. The next one is to fast track the retirement. That's the most common one, but there are a couple things that are implied in fast tracking retirement that I need to mention. The first one is that there is an end in sight. There is a limit to the amount of ambition of the person, whereas the
Mhm.
next one there is not. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're the most ambitious people out there. If somebody has a yacht, they need an even bigger one. So those guys are great to have because they won't become an accredited investor and just rest on their laurels. And then last one I say is an irrational need to help tenants, which really what I
Right.
mean is there's some section of society that they want to help, and they realize that building the wealth is an incredible vehicle to really make a big difference in that sector of society. So out of those five, Brian, what really resonates with you or describes your motivation for your next deals?
Most of those, there's some part of those that resonate with me. But I'm going to pick two. I'm going to cheat and pick two. I'm trying to build wealth. And part of it is to eventually retire, but I've been able to probably 4x my net worth since I got into multifamily investing, right? So Gone from, low six-figure net worth to, I'm an accredited investor right now, and trying to keep on doing that. But, just recently I moved to Idaho Falls, which is, on the top of a lot of lists of best small cities and best places to invest. And I honestly have said many times before, I want to be the biggest property owner in the city when it comes to multifamily housing, not single family housing, not other commercial properties, but it may be an ego thing, but yeah, I want to be the biggest multifamily person in Idaho Falls.
Excellent, and you're well on your way. So that brings to the next segment, which is the different roles. So
Mhm.
usually I introduce myself as a repositioner first. You can see that there are a couple properties up at the top and some paperwork. And a repositioner is also an acquisitions person. And what they're really up to is they're looking for which properties have a good enough upside. So they have to be doing underwriting. That's an absolute necessity. And as far as those upside goes, there's two different main ways to make sure there's upside. One is through more efficient operations.
Mhm.
So that also includes just reducing your expenses and raising the value that way. Operations generally, that's doing maintenance, collecting rent, making sure that the vacancy rate is low. Of course, right now we're in the hottest real estate market in history, so that's probably not going to be enough to cut it. So a lot of repositioners need to get contractors to do the value add.
Mhm.
So you need to fix up the apartment units, and then that way you can charge more in rent. So that way the property fetches more money. But me, I'm from the internet, so that means I can't be there at a moment's notice. So I need a local. I need the boots on the ground. I need somebody who's in the area who can check out, because I'm not going to hop on a plane and get my passport every single time there's a problem of those types. So those are the four more or less day-to-day ones. But to actually take the property down, you're going to need the financier. You're going to have
Mhm.
to go to the bank, and you're going to have to say, hey, lend me the millions of dollars to take over this apartment complex. But the one thing that most beginners don't know is the financier is going to say, that's fine, but who's your sponsor? Who's the KP? And a KP or sponsor is a person who already owns a similar asset, which means even if you're fantastically wealthy like Jeff Bezos, if you want to buy a 350 unit apartment complex, then you still have to have somebody in the fold who has a similar asset. And then you also have to have a net worth of at least the amount of the loan. So those are the 6 different roles in an apartment complex deal. And which of these are your core competencies, or what you'd be most likely to contribute in your next commercial deal, Brian?
So we have several irons in the fire, and as Four Oaks Capital, we do syndications, and Four Oaks we do repositions, and that's kind of 100. That's kind of our bread and butter is we are repositioners, and we finance our own deals. We go out, get our own loans, we raise our own capital. But we also are sponsors and KPs on other people's deals. We have 2 in our pipeline right now that our role is going to be as a sponsor and as a KP. And when we do sponsorships and when we do KPs, we serve as an advisor is essentially what we do. We like to have somebody, we like to partner with people who can do, 75, 80% of the syndication of everything else on there. And we come in with balance sheet, we come in with experience, and we come in as an advisory role where we are essentially a mentor to the people who are putting the deal together. So I hate to give you an all of the above answer, but really the answer is all of the above. When you look at everything Four Oaks does, personally, I'm more on the educational side and I'm more on the financing side, less on the operations side right now. So if you had to pin me down to what does Brian Briscoe do best, it's probably the sponsor KP, where I can come in as an advisory role and help people get through their friction points.
Excellent, excellent. That brings me to my next question, which is without breaking any SEC restrictions,
Mhm.
which it means that you can't entice investors. Can you describe the real estate person who you could help more than anybody else?
Yeah, I would say personally, it's the person who wants to be me. right? We have started an educational program, and none of this trips SEC regulations because I'm not talking about an offering. I'm talking about helping people get to where they're going. Helping people find partners, helping people learn the important things about putting a multifamily deal together, helping people learn the important things about managing an asset, et cetera. So we've put together an educational platform we call the Tribe of Titans. We have a lot of networking events. You mentioned one already. We had one last night. We have one every Friday. We've got a couple in the next several in the next couple of weeks. But we put all these events together to help, aspiring syndicators, people who want to do what we are doing. And, we hope we don't force anybody, we're not signing, making people sign contracts. But we hope when these people are, get their deals under contract, that they do turn to us to come in as KPs and sponsors if they need it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really excellent. And do you have a buy box as far as like the sweetheart deals, like you mentioned, South Carolina and Georgia? Well, what about unit counts?
So for the Four Oaks syndications, we are looking, 100 units and above, like a lot of other people. We're confident that we can raise 8 to 10 million per deal. So we're looking at the 10 to 30 million dollar range as far as where our sweet spot is for Four Oaks. Coming in as KPs and sponsors, we're a lot more flexible. We realize that everybody else is in a different position. So one of the assets we're looking at potentially KPing on right now is a $1.8 million purchase price, 26 unit. We're also looking at a 45 unit with a purchase price around 3 million. I don't remember the details, but around $3 million. So, if somebody's coming in and they're asking us to KP, we'll work with them. Our criteria is not, dead set on the number of units that will come in on as a KP. Our criteria for that is we have to like the deal and we have to like the team. So if we don't like the team, we're not going to come in as a KP. If we don't like the deal, we're not going to come in as a KP.
Excellent, excellent. And you and I met through LinkedIn through your meetup, which is every Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
But what is the best way to reach out to you? I know you have your website as well, but
Yeah. Actually, I think Dan Lukowitz introduced us.
Oh, right, yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah. There was the Impatient All Stars on
Impatient All
LinkedIn, right?
Stars. That's
Right.
yeah, that's where we met, um, so yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best place to figure out, to learn more about me. Look at LinkedIn, reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you want to email me, Brian Briscoe at fouroakscapital.com, super simple. But we do a weekly meetup Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Every Wednesday, like clockwork, we're going to post about it on LinkedIn. We'll put the link to it. So anybody who wants to show up to that can. And if you're interested in, our educational platform, which has a lot of exclusive events in addition to this Friday meetup, a lot of exclusive events for members only. thetribeoftitans.com or thetribeoftitans.info. One of them is a sign up page. One of them is more an informational page. The .info one is more of the informational page, but those are good places to look, or just, DM me on LinkedIn and say, I'm interested in your educational program.
Excellent, excellent. And for those of you in the audience who know Brian and you don't know me, my background is in e-commerce technology, which means it's lead capture, lead generation, and online funnel generation. And where the way that gets me in as a co-GP situation is I streamline the repositioner side as far as acquisitions go, and then I can also automate operations. I also do a bunch of the weird marketing and content creation for social media. And speaking of which, if you could do me a huge favor, if you look somewhere down under here, there's probably a big red button that says subscribe. And if you click it, it turns gray. It costs you nothing, but it means YouTube pays for these videos instead of me, which is definitely better. So if you could do that, all it means is that my videos might end up in your list of suggestions. There's no guarantee of that at all, but that is the main ask that I have in return for me putting out this content. So thank you very much for watching. And Brian, thank you for coming and joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks.